How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the Two Bros Sports Podcast. I am your host, Hunter Smith, and I'm here with my brother and co-host, Dakota Smith. How are you doing this afternoon, Dakota?
Oh, well, still going through the COVID thing. Throat's still a little sore, but other than that, doing all right. Slowly getting better. I can leave the house finally tomorrow. Still have to wear a mask everywhere I go, but I can leave the house tomorrow. So that's a plus.
Yeah, I'll actually see you this weekend. In my head, I was expecting us to record an in-person episode, but that probably won't happen anymore. So,
No, it will not. That's
so
unfortunate.
yeah, unfortunate there. But today's episode is over the NBA as we continue and get to the halfway point of looking over all six divisions before the upcoming season and our predictions for them. Today's division is the Southwest, which includes the Dallas Mavericks, the Houston Rockets, the Memphis Grizzlies, New Orleans Pelicans, and San Antonio Spurs, and we'll go over them in that order. First off, the Dallas Mavericks. Last season, Luka Doncic is him, and that's all they need apparently because this season I think Luka Doncic is going to average, if not a triple double, it's going to be a rebounder and assist short.
Yeah.
He won't have Jalen Brunson anymore. I think that's actually going to be a bigger hit than what some people think for Dallas. Because he's a scorer. He'll give you buckets when you need them. I think they're gonna miss that. But outside of Luka Doncic, I mean, this team's full of a lot of role players, in my opinion. So what do you think?
I love the Christian Wood trade. I love that. Even though I thought I read a report they're going to use him as a sixth man more than start him. They're actually going to start JaVale, which kind of surprised me. You might look that up to double check that that's right. But they drafted Jaden Hardy. There's a lot of pieces that are questionable on this team, like a lot of good defensive players, Dorian Finney-Smith, Reggie Bullock, guys that'll play defense. You got Spencer Dinwiddie who can provide a spark, Tim Hardaway Jr. can get it going on the offensive end, but a lot of questions outside of Luka.
Yeah. According to SI.com, I believe that's Sports Illustrated, right?
Yeah.
The Dallas Mavericks coach Jason Kidd confirms that Christian Wood as sixth man acquiring Christian Wood was the Dallas Mavericks' biggest move over the offseason, and I absolutely agree with that. But however, the head coach Jason Kidd does say that Wood will start the 2022-23 season by coming off the bench.
I
Will
don't know
that
how long.
change? I think that will change.
Yeah.
I don't know how long that'll last.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth right there. I don't know how long that'll last. I think Christian Wood's too good of a player to play off the bench. I think you need to start it. If he comes off the bench, he's still going to play 28, 30 minutes. He's still going to play starters minutes, even though he's a sixth man. Because JaVale's not built. JaVale's not built to play 28 minutes a game. He's built to play about 18 to 20. So I could definitely see that being a 30-18 split in favor of Christian Wood.
Yeah, and I mean Christian Wood's only 6'9". I think you can play him at the 4 too. And just maybe start Dwight Powell or JaVale McGee and have Dwight Powell and JaVale kind of split the minutes and then go small ball when you'd like.
Yeah. The more I think about it, they probably, sorry to interrupt you. The more I think about it, they do probably start Dwight Powell. That's who they started a lot last year.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Looking at the starting lineup here, I'm gonna go Luka point guard, whatever position he'll play. Luka will start. I mean, I would have said Christian Wood had I not known that. So he's kind of out of the conversation for the beginning of the season. But Luka, either Dinwiddie or Josh Green at the 2, probably go Bullock at the 3, if not Tim Hardaway, or maybe Tim Hardaway at the 2. And then I would probably go Finney-Smith or Bertans, and then go McGee or Dwight Powell. So they've got a lot of competition in the team for the type of level of players that they have.
Yeah, I think Finney-Smith will start for sure. Bullock will start for sure. I think it's a question of whether they bring Hardaway off the bench and start Dinwiddie. I think there's your question at the 2. It makes sense for them to start Dinwiddie. You get another good ball handler in the game. And Hardaway can provide a spark off the bench too. You bring him and Wood off the bench, that's a pretty good duo as your second coming on as your second unit. But this team will go as far as Luka Doncic takes them.
Yep, they will. They will absolutely. This team, I think, in my opinion, looking at it, a little bit on the older side, but they've got some nice younger pieces. I mean, Jaden Hardy. You have Luka. Josh Green's only 21. Yeah, that's about it. But when you have Luka, that's all Dallas needs.
Yes, it is.
So moving on to the next team, staying in Texas, Houston Rockets. Young team. Could be the youngest in the league. I'm not sure if they are. Probably the Thunder, but I like the young pieces they have. You've known this. You've known. I mean, obviously, you've known me since my whole life, but like, the moment Jalen Green was a sophomore in high school, I have been as high as him as anyone else. I am in love with Jalen Green. I hope he balls out this season, and that's my key man for the Rockets. I love Jalen Green.
Emphasize the word young on this team because it's all the way down. Outside of like Derek Favors and Boban, like this team is crazy young. They have two guys over 30. Mo Harkless is 29, then everybody else is 26 and under.
Eric Gordon's 33, but
Eric Gordon's on that. I always forget about Eric Gordon.
He doesn't even feel like he's a shooter. It doesn't age doesn't matter.
No, but you look at like Kevin Porter, 22, Jabari Smith, who they just drafted 19, Alperen Şengün, 20. They also just drafted Ty Washington. He's 20. Josh Christopher, 20. You mentioned Jalen Green. He's 20. The very, very young core here in Houston that I feel like still needs a couple of years to develop.
Yeah, I think give them. I don't know if they'll make the playoffs this year. The Western Conference is so tough. It's hard to tell if maybe they can sneak in as a play-in team, max 9 or 10 sneak in. But honestly, you might just want to tank and go for Victor Wembanyama. So
yeah,
because that's what it's looking like every team might do. So him and Scoot Henderson, but they don't need a guard anymore. So
yeah, those I think the 1 and 2 picks for next year's draft have been solidified. But I think the Victor Wembanyama sweepstakes has begun. Who is going to be the worst team in the league? Like, and it doesn't even guarantee you that though. Like, could you imagine like the 7th or 8th worst team gets the number 1 pick? And, they're not terrible, but they still get the number 1 pick. It's like, oh gosh.
If that happens, it depends who the team is, but dear Lord, I just hope he doesn't go to the Kings.
Well, at this rate, yeah, God, that would be terrible for his career. We all know what happens to people who play for the Kings, but poor De'Aaron Fox. Poor De'Aaron Fox. God, yeah, Halliburton. God, they made we talked about that before. They made the wrong trade there, but no. I think those 1 and 2 are solidified. Scoot Henderson's a baller too. Like, not going to slight him at all, but like Victor's just different. 7'4" and can move and shoot like that. That's scary talent that is going to be coming into the league next year. And Oklahoma City get the number 1 overall pick.
They've got like 30 first-round picks. So
there's your Twin Towers.
Oh my goodness!
Chet and Victor.
If Chet Holmgren and Victor Wembanyama play on the same team and they can figure it out, and they keep Shea
and Josh Giddey and Josh Giddey, yeah,
that team could get. Yeah, Woj. He did tweet out that one GM tells ESPN. And quote, it feels like last night, as in a day ago, we'll start a race to the bottom like we've never seen. After Victor and Scoot went head to head, and they're doing it right now, actually, as we speak.
Scoot didn't play. Scoot didn't play today.
He didn't.
No,
I know Victor was.
It's actually in the headline right next to the Rockets article that Scoot Henderson's out for today.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I
he
know we're
hurt his
not here
right
to
knee
talk
today, so
about
he's out.
I know we're not
But
here to talk about the
no,
draft much,
Victor will still play.
but um Victor Wembanyama's agent on competing, improving, and priorities. According to Draft Express, we did not come here to hide. He wants to play. We didn't come here for business reasons, to be the number one pick. NBA people are telling me to shut him down. We're not going to shut him down. If we came with that kind of talk, he would look at us and say, "What are you talking about?" He'll never agree to that. He wants to compete and get better. With Victor, it's basketball first and everything else second. That's the mentality you want in number one draft pick. This
Yeah, and
kid, he's come overseas and he wants the ball. It's simple.
yeah, and like we were talking about the Rockets. Yep, they're in this. They're in the Victor Wembanyama sweepstakes. That's a mouthful to say, but no, that I think
They're
give
so
this team
young.
two or three more years. Yeah, they're so young. They have
Yeah.
such a great core. I mean, Jalen Green was the 2 pick. Jabari Smith was the 3. Right? That's how. Yeah, Green went 2, and
I
then
mean, there is three, four guys, maybe five, who are future all stars on this team. A
yeah,
couple of them future superstars in this league. So Rockets will you may have another rough season, but I can almost promise you a future is coming and it's very bright for Houston.
yes, it is, and I think you're right. I think it centers around Jalen Green. I think he was the piece that they want to build this whole thing around, and it's a good start. I mean, he struggled a little bit last year, but I think he takes a big step this year.
Yep. Moving to the next team, getting out of Texas for a second, going to the Memphis Grizzlies. Obviously, they can cause problems. We've seen it. This team can cause problems. Like we said in the Pacific Division, I can't wait for the Christmas Day matchup against the Warriors. I will find a way to watch it. I don't care what network it's on. But this team is dangerous. This is one of the more dangerous teams in the West who don't have the everyday star type of players. They don't have the LeBron. They don't have Steph Curry, Kawhi, etc. They have John Morant. I get it. He's a star player, but he's not been around the league like these other guys have. They don't have that older veteran type of star player. But this team is young too, honestly. And John Morant's only 23.
Yeah, I love the core on this team. John Morant, Desmond Bain, Dylan Brooks, Brandon Clark, Jaren Jackson Jr. Like just a good, solid young core. They brought in Danny Green. They traded for him. A little bit of veteran leadership on that team, along with Steven Adams. Like they're in. Like, this team might be just as young, if not younger, than Houston. Like they're just top to bottom, very young team, but they can do some damage. And let me tell you, that series last year as a Warriors fan made me very nervous because John Morant is that guy, but once Ja got hurt, it felt like that series was over.
Yeah, this team is very dangerous. They'll make the playoffs. I think comfortably, actually. I don't think it's going to be a play-in question or anything. Um, starting lineup, you're probably looking at Ja. At the 2, you're probably going to throw Desmond Bain, and then Dylan Brooks, Triple J, and then Steven Adams. Or Brandon Clark will play the 4.
Yeah, one of
Two.
those.
But
Yeah.
I think Jaren Jackson Jr. will play the 4. But even the bench on this team is not bad. And they're young too. You got Kenny Lofton Jr. coming in this year. Kennedy Chandler's here. I mean, and I think Kenny Lofton Jr. is the next coming of Zach Randolph. He is. I don't even think it's like a question. So
It may be just
Grizzlies are very much looking dangerous.
maybe an internet thing, but there's a lot of people that are high on David Roddy too. Came out of Colorado State. 6'5", 250, but he can shoot. So we'll see. I like you said, another super young team, another super talented team. Like The question is, again, I think this is the same thing with as Dallas. Like this team will go as far as Ja Morant takes his team.
Yeah. This team, I think, is, I don't know statistically, but just in my eyes, is one of the best defensive teams in the league. And I think they pride themselves a lot on the defensive side of the ball. So, and I think that's going to help them a lot this year. Moving forward, New Orleans Pelicans, another young team. This division is just young and bright futured. But the Pelicans obviously have dealt with some injury problems over the past couple of years. Zion Williamson. And he's back. He is back. He is looking extremely healthy. And believe it or not, I am going to struggle when it comes to our conference, Western Eastern Conference predictions, because I think the West is loaded, and I think this team is just getting better.
Oh, no. Yeah, this team wasn't the same last year without Zion, obviously, but this is another great young team. If I'm looking at this right, CJ McCollum's the oldest player on this roster, and he's 31. And he's probably, you could toss up between him and Ingram's the best player on this team, right? Outside of Zion.
Yeah. Well, he's probably
He might just be the best player, period right now. Yeah, I think Zion's got to prove something more to us because he hasn't. I mean, he was great in the little spurts we've seen him in, but like, he hasn't been great for a whole year yet. But
yeah.
I've always liked Brandon Ingram. I questioned LA the second they traded Brandon Ingram. Like, I've always been big on him. He's a great player, 6'8", lanky, great mid-range game, and I love this team. I love New Orleans. Like McCollum, Ingram, Williamson, Valanciunas. Herbert Jones was a bright spot last year defensively for them. He was their lockdown defender. They bring in Dyson Daniels.
Yep. 8th pick out of the draft.
G League Ignite, correct? That's where he played. I'm pretty sure he was in. Yeah.
Yeah. This team's looking good. I hope Devontae Graham can get back to where he was a couple years ago. I think he'd be a huge help. Probably, I don't know. He might start. Well, nah, they'll probably play CJ McCollum at the 1. I think they did that last year for the time they had him. So I think it'll be CJ. Then you look around this team, and honestly, the 2 guard might be up for spot. I mean, they might start Kira Lewis Jr. I don't know, honestly, for their backcourt.
Yeah.
But you got Brandon Ingram, you got Herbert Jones. Herbert Jones might start, might not.
I think they go
probably be Zion and then Jackson Hayes.
I think it'll probably be Graham, McCollum, Ingram, Zion, Valanciunas.
Yeah. I think at the center position, they're actually really good. I think Valanciunas, Jackson Hayes, I think those 2 are very good. And like you said, Herbert Jones defensively, he's gonna be the person who's going to guard LeBron and KD when he comes off the bench.
Yeah, I could. That's what I could see him starting too. I could see them going McCollum, Ingram, Jones, Williamson, Valanciunas too. I could definitely see that just because of how good of a defender Herb Jones is.
Yeah, and you got Jose Alvarado off the bench. He's gonna get cookies in the back behind half court. Well, moving on to the last and final team, going straight back to Texas, San Antonio Spurs. You traded away your future. You traded away your point guard for the future, but there's still some people in here who have bright futures who are young. I mean, names that come to my mind immediately is Keldon Johnson. Even Trey Jones is only 22. Romeo Langford's 22. Joshua Primo's 19. You got Isaiah Roby's only 24. Jeremy Sohan is 19. Devin is 22. So yeah.
So Sohan was their rookie that they drafted. He was a number 9 pick. in the draft. They're obviously going to be high on him. He's probably going. I wouldn't be shocked if he starts for this team right away. But
This team is also in the running for Victor Wembanyama.
this team might be one of the front runners for Victor Wembanyama at this point, at this stage right now. This team doesn't look very good at all. I'm trying to find who's gonna be the leading scorer for this team. Like, it's probably Keldon Johnson, isn't it? Like, just
that or Josh Richardson if he starts. I don't know.
Just looking at him, like, this team's not going to be good. Like, and I feel bad for Pops. Like, I feel bad, but you traded DeJounte Murray. Like, they got rid of someone else. Oh, he plays for Boston. Derek White. They got rid of Derek White last year in that trade during the season. I don't like it. I've been high on a lot of teams, but I'm not high at all on the San Antonio team. They are
only
one
got
of
2 guys over 30, so they're very young, actually.
Yeah, this is going to be one of the 5 or 6 worst teams in the NBA.
Maybe worse than that.
I don't think there's like, I couldn't even pick you a starting lineup on this team right now if I tried. Like, I really couldn't. If you're gonna go young, it's gonna be Trey Jones, Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell, Jeremy Sohan, and Jakob Pertl at center. You could talk me into Zach Collins if he's healthy, but I don't see a lot. I think this is gonna be a team that gets blown out a lot and may not. Pops will keep them competitive in some games, but I just don't think this team's going to be very good.
Yeah, it could be a long season for San Antonio Spurs fans. I'm gonna be honest. I don't see how they can be competitive this year or even remotely competitive.
Well, just looking at this, their over-under for wins is 22.5.
Oh my goodness.
And that is the lowest in the NBA. So right now, they are the front runner to be the worst team in the NBA. Like, this team is bad. And
they're very bad.
Very bad might be nice. Like, I think 22 would. I think that's a good year if they get past 22. I have a hard time. With as tough as the West is. All these teams you're going to have to play for. I mean, their in-division record might be terrible this year unless they get Dallas and Memphis on some bad nights. Like, their in-division record could be terrible. Like, this team getting to 20 wins seems difficult.
The West the whole league is tough, but playing in the Western Conference does not help these guys at all. And even if they were in the East, I don't see them doing much better.
I don't either. Yeah, they're going to be one of the teams with some of the best odds to get Victor.
Yeah, no, for sure. So, that'll do it. We got here to predict our division standings here for the Southwest. So, you want me to go first? You want to go first?
Yeah. I think you went first last week? You can go first. I went first earlier this week.
Okay. I'm gonna go. These Pelicans, Rockets.
I feel like 4 and 5 is really easy. I feel like Houston 4, San Antonio 5 is probably going to be the way to go.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Memphis. There's a team I'm forgetting.
Dallas and New Orleans are your other 2.
Dallas, that's that one. I'm gonna go Memphis, Dallas, New Orleans, and then Rockets, Spurs.
Oh, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna make a bold prediction here. I'm gonna go New Orleans, Memphis, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio. This is all predicated on if Zion stays healthy for the full year. I am making that prediction that Zion is healthy for the vast majority of the season. Like this team snuck into the playoffs last year and played the Suns tough in the first round. So, like, I think they got a legit shot to win this division.
Yeah. I mean, I think those top three teams can throw it up. For the Mavericks, it really just depends on Luka. He's probably going to average 30.
He's going to have
more.
to.
So we'll see what happens there. And it'll be an interesting one, but this division is very young. So bright futures for all these teams, besides maybe San Antonio at the moment, but they're still young. They still have time to improve. Those young players still have time to really show what they got. So it should be a very entertaining division this year. We'll definitely. It's maybe not going to be one that everybody keeps their eye on, but
yeah,
I think a lot of this division is also going to depend on injuries.
Yeah,
specifically
definitely
for those top three teams. So that'll do it for today's episode of the NBA, and we'll see you next Monday. Have a wonderful rest of your day and week. We hope to have you join us next time on the Two Bros Sports Podcast. With that being said, I'm your host, Hunter Smith, and goodbye.